How's it going, and welcome back to their Pokemon Unite video here on YouTube. It's been a little while since we've done a tier list. We've had a couple of new characters released as well as a big balanced pass. Let's talk through what I think is the power level of these various characters when you are playing solo queue. Something to understand is the context in which I'm reviewing these characters. I am talking about everything from its power level in a full solo match. Your ability to control your own destiny in a solo match of Pokemon Unite is largely based on can you use your character to carry a match or a fight if your teammates are in the wrong spot or playing poorly. This is why I tend to rate characters that are damage dealers that can win fights on their own much higher, and characters that are defenders, even though they're good characters when they're supporting a carry that's competent, more low, because you can't always depend on your teammates to be competent carries inside of solo queue. You should take all of my opinions in this video with a small grain of salt, because if you're playing duos or trios, a lot of these characters can be better than I'm listing them here if you have a teammate with you that's competent. That being said, let's dive on in here and talk about it. Duraludon is the latest release in Pokemon Unite, and they did the thing where they release a character and it's pretty incredibly overtuned. All of my matches of Pokemon Unite lately feel like they revolve around three things. One, is your Duraludon a higher level than their Duraludon? Two, does your Duraludon have better positioning than their Duraludon? And three, do they have better micro gameplay? Duraludon is literally the definition of a character that can 1v5. It chunks through people so incredibly quickly. Its Dragon Pulse ability allows you to secure objectives even by accident. Sometimes while you're team fighting, it slices, it dices, it does everything you want a character to do while having way too many stats to do it. Now, if you can't get Duraludon in a match of Unite, there's still a variety of other characters that are pretty good at carrying, and some of them are good at taking down the opposing Duraludon, because that's your number one goal inside of team fights these days. So Cinderace is definitely still the best solo carry outside of Duraludon, and still does a pretty reasonable amount of damage, even if it's a little bit squishy into Duraludon. Your Blaze Kick notably can stun them momentarily, giving you a leg up inside of some of those fights in the one-on-one. Charizard, I think, is one that's a little bit better positioned in a world where we have Duraludon as something that really matters, because your Unite move can grab one person and slam them for a bunch of damage, and then notably when you're burninating in that Unite move, you actually attack through shield, so they can't even buddy barrier to save themselves. Similar to Charizard Unite, Talonflame is fantastic in the current patch because Brave Bird and Fly allow you to dive in on that rather squishy Duraludon, trying to take it out of the combat before it can be leveraged to its full potential. And then Venusaur and Greninja are still just good, reasonable Pokemon that scale well into the late game, but they both lane well pretty early as well, so you don't necessarily have to be center path to leverage their full potential. Everything in the A tier here, I think, is a very reasonable choice, but it's just a little bit less powerful when it comes to, 1v3ing or 1v5ing with these characters here at the top. Ninetales in particular, I think, probably got one of the biggest boosts in this most recent patch. They added a little bit of lifesteal to Oroville as well as mobility to its kit overall, which was really something that I was missing. Ninetales' greatest strength is the fact that it paths top or bottom really well early, contesting for last hits and bullying opposing Pokemon. This means that you don't need to get center path to be really powerful. With Ninetales, it's not uncommon for me to be actually higher level than our center path at that first Dreadnought, just because Ninetales is so potent early. Hoopa, another recent character that was added to the game, and definitely the best support you can play in solo queues, in my opinion. This is because not only is Hoopa a powerful support, with Trick providing shields and lifesteal as well as Shadow Ball providing stuns, but its Unite move literally turns you into attacker. So it is basically the only support in the game where you can carry a team fight in the mid and late game if you need to, rather than be a dedicated support character. Dragonite is a character that I think definitely got a little bit worse with the introduction of Duraludon to the game. Dragonite's kind of big gimmick or thing that it did uniquely in the game was that it secured objectives really well with Hyper Beam, and Duraludon's Dragon Pulse just kind of does that a bit better. Gardevoir and Pikachu are characters that are powerful and put out a lot of damage very quickly, but their kits lack mobility. This means if anyone on the opposing team is able to get up on top of you, if they're not low for you to finish, generally speaking, you're just going to get knocked out without any counterplay. Gengar, a character that was buffed in the most recent patch, and not only is it stronger, being more bursty with damage faster, but I think the advent of most fights revolving around Duraludon makes Gengar a bit better, because you can get in, knock out their carry very quickly, and move on to the next person in the fight. Taking out their Duraludon really can swing the fight in your team's favor if yours is able to survive. Similarly, Lucario, Greedent, and Machamp here are characters that can get on top of Duraludon and kind of cut through the opposing team. That being said, I have actually moved Machamp down one tier this week because Machamp is a rather squishy Pokemon, so if you don't have really good positioning, or if the Duraludon is pretty exceptional at repositioning around with Dragon Tail, it's just going to melt you before you can get up to it, which is unfortunate. That brings us down to our B tier here, where I've actually promoted Slowbro for this week. While Slowbro is definitely not a damage carry Pokemon, the fact that so many of the fights revolve around one key carry on each team at the moment makes Slowbro's ability to both telekinesis as well as his Unite move very potent, because if you can just like walk up to the opposing carry in a fight and suck them up with your Unite move, allowing your team to knock them out really cleanly while they can't act, it's going to swing fights incredibly in your favor. Other people might argue that I've got Aegislash and Sylveon a little bit too high. They're definitely both pet characters of mine that I really enjoy, but I think these characters, if played well, are capable of carrying games. Aegislash in particular is a character that can cut through, 2, 3, even 4 opposing Pokemon if you get that big burst with those boosteds built up and you're playing it well. And Sylveon is really good early in path, and it survives really well, kind of putting up consistent damage inside of fights. The rest of these characters, as we get down here, have varying bad matchups or poor mobility that makes them tough to really carry a game with. Blastoise, for example, it has a little bit of damage and has securing potential with its Unite move. Its raw damage outside of that isn't fantastic overall. And then as we move down to the bottom tier here, again, I cannot stress enough that a lot of these defenders and support characters are reasonable if you are duo or trio queuing and you have a carry that you can depend on, that is reasonable, that you can follow around and help. But it's so difficult if you are full solo queue to carry a game as Mamoswine or Snorlax or Wigglytuff. Especially Wiggly, one of its best things is its Unite move in its kit, and if you can't get your team grouped together with Wigglytuff to make your Unite move shield a bunch of people, you just don't really get any benefit for it, which is one of the most powerful things that your character can do, similar to Eldegoss being pretty lackluster if you can't get 3, 4, or 5 people together for its Cotton Guard to heal a bunch of people up. At any rate, I'm actually not going to do a separate 5-stack tier list right now. I've been watching a lot of other content creators that are really good players, and they've been trying a lot of different things, but I don't know exactly where these characters kind of fall into those top roll center path and then the tri-lane bottom necessarily in terms of power level. So rather than kind of making stuff up, I'm just going to shy away from it. I will say from observations, it seems like Duraludon in the center is pretty cracked, and Lucario seems like it's still pretty much the undisputed king of the solo top path despite getting close combat nerfed. There's a lot of variety in the 3 slots in the bottom path. In fact, Hoopa's introduction to the game has kind of broken LD out as a must play in all of these compositions. Some comps play Eldegoss and Hoopa now as double supporters, but some are just playing Hoopa. So the tri-lane bottom has a lot of diversity, and I think if they pull Duraludon down, there'll be a lot of center path diversity again, and something's got to happen to Lucario up top. I don't know what it is, but he can't keep getting away with it. At any rate, let me know what you think. Did you agree with my assessments here? Do you think there's a character that I'm off on? What's your favorite character to play in the solo queue and why? Let me know in the comments down below. Remember, if you enjoy the videos, want to help my channel grow, leave the video a like and share it with a friend that plays Pokemon Unite. I'd love to see more of you around. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with another Pokemon Unite highlight video here on YouTube.